Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Soulful Sessions. With me this month is the beautiful and amazingly talented Laura Cepeda, and she is the woman behind Modestine Teas. She's the founder and CEO of this really truly magical tea company. It's a lifestyle tea brand promoting wellness through the power of connection, self-love, celebration, and the magic of tea rituals. As a certified tea sommelier, Laura is passionate about helping individuals understand the foundation in the history, production, classification, identification, traditions, and preparation, as well as health benefits of tea. Wow, like if you think about that, when it comes to tea, that's a lot of stuff going on. It's more than just this cup of warm elixir that you drink. Wow, mind blowing, honestly. Okay, so as everyone who listens into Soulful Sessions knows, I always share my guests' sun, moon, and ascendant, which is always super fun. And Laura, in particular, was excited to hear about this. So, Laura, you probably already know that you are a Pisces sun. Now, what does that mean exactly? So, your sun is your personality. Your ascendant is also your personality, but this is what people initially see or experience when they come in contact with you. It's the essence of you shining bright. So think about that as far as the sun is concerned. So when you're talking about Pisces, Pisces is a water sign. It's a feminine sign, which makes sense considering what you do. There's water in tea. It's a big part of that ritual, of that process of what you do. Water signs are very sensitive, and Pisces in particular, especially since it is the very last sign of the zodiac, it's this really deep place of introspection. Not the same as Scorpio. Scorpio is like way into the dark depths of that. Pisces is a bit more very, very inward, pulling things inward. You can be sensitive to others, but you're also very sensitive to yourself. You know, there's a keen awareness of yourself. You likely feel your way through life. So yes, your mind is at play. There's going to be thoughts, but it's a feel to it. And we're going to get into that maybe when that comes to your business and what you do is that feeling part of you. And you likely carry a tremendous amount of really deep wisdom. So some of these things may resonate with you, some of them may not. What do you think so far, Laura, of what I've described?
Everything resonates. Everything resonates so well.
Nice. Okay. So we're going to keep going. We're going to go into the deeper realm of your moon, and that is your internal experience, the relationship with yourself. It often connects with your relationship with your mother. So it's that divine feminine sort of energy. You have an Aries moon. So you have a fire moon. So there is, and it's also the first sign of the zodiac. And what I find very interesting when I see this happen, and I was reflecting on how often I've seen this. If you think about it, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac and Aries is the first. And the sun and the moon are the two luminaries that they're like the duality of us. You think of the sun as the masculine, the moon as the feminine. And yours are opposite. Your sun is feminine, your moon is masculine. And so it's really interesting how the dichotomy of the two are woven together somehow. And so that might be maybe a place of contemplation for you going forward, or any of the listeners who may have the same dynamic, and how you engage with yourself and others based on this knowledge. So an Aries moon, very much, ready to take action, independent, confident. How do I want to frame this? I would say one of the lower vibrational qualities, let's just say, of an Aries moon is impatience. It's this, come on, let's do it, let's go. Stop dragging your heels. And for just so the listeners know, Laura lives in New York City. That is not a drag your heels kind of sleepy Southern town. It's like, let's get it. Yeah. So it makes total sense.
Right.
And then your ascendant, your rising sign. So this represents the self. This represents, and the way I think of the rising sign too is, yes, it's the self, it's the first house, it's very much your connection with that deep inner part of you, that deep inner part, and also the external, the personality that people see, a little bit different than your sun in energy. But I also feel like, in my experience anyway, the rising sign is also what you're rising into, the highest vibrational qualities of that sign that you are looking to embody, that you are looking to exude in the world. Okay, so this is something somewhat new. This is probably the first time I've described it in this particular way, but it feels, just from what I've learned over these past few months, it feels really in line with the energy. And you are a Pisces ascendant too.
Really?
So there is so much water, so much depth, so much beneath the surface of you, so much more going on. And when you got the Pisces in this place, it's creative. It's going with the flow. Here's where this, depending on kind of your mindset and your perspective, your mind can be changeable. Okay, and that doesn't mean you're wishy-washy or you can't make up your mind. It's more like you're open to possibilities. You're not rigid in your beliefs. It's like, okay, this is what I believe. If somebody comes and shares something with you, you might go, all right, not sure how I feel about that, but I'll take that in and let it sit for a little while. And I think that is such a huge gift, especially in the current climate of the world today, to be able to have that sense of possibility and have that sense of openness to other perspectives and other beliefs, and be able to really take that in. Doesn't mean that they're going to change your mind, and it doesn't mean that you're putting your stake in the ground and saying, this is it for me. It's just allowing it to be, and maybe like steep, like tea, just allowing it to be there. So so how is all of that feeling?
Really good. I actually do like that last part about, it could be taken as wishy-washy, but the brilliant part of it, if you really play into it, if I really play into it, it helps me to exercise balance and flexibility in that sense, that especially for me with relationships, like partnerships too, you want to exercise balance and be flexible. Like you said, you may not always go with that person's idea, but allowing yourself to see that, what they're talking about, that I feel for me that falls into flexibility. And I'm trying my best every day to be as, more flexible, because I used to be so rigid. So that's really good.
And that's why I feel like with the rising sign, even though it's not typically described in this way, it to me, it feels like it's the place where we are rising up into the highest vibration. There's the positive, light, dark, however you want to look at it, qualities of all of these signs. And if we can be in the most vibrancy of that energy, that's always, to me, the most amazing place to be, most feel good place to be. All right, so the other thing that I always share is what you're known for saying. So Laura is known for saying there is a purpose in everything, which I freaking love. I have a similar motto there. There's a reason and purpose for everything. There's always something more that's going on that you may or may not see. So I'm 100% with you on that. It totally resonates with me. And then just I want to give everyone right out of the gate a way to find Laura, and then we're going to share this again at the end of the show. But just for those of you who are already curious about this wellness tea company and rituals and the beauty and magic that she creates, you can find her on social at Modestine Teas, and her website is modestinetea.com. So, and we'll be sharing that again later in the show. So officially welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Okay, so opening question I ask all of my guests.
Yeah.
Tell us about a recent experience that lit you up, that when you just knew that your soul was talking to you.
I would have to say my current relationship, it's in that place where you've been trying to figure out, or you've been hoping that you would get that same energy or the energy you desire. And then it shows up. And each time I communicate with my partner, I hear my soul speaking back to me. I hear spirit speaking back to me. So that clearly I'm in that path of being lit up almost every day, because I constantly hear myself. I hear soul speaking back to me. So I would have to say that.
So that's pretty amazing. It's like loud and clear. There's not even just, I'm sure everyone can hear in your voice and with your words, there's not a doubt in your mind. It's so, it just is. There's
Yeah.
no questioning. And,
Yeah.
I can say, I've known Laura for a bit of time, and we've had numerous conversations about relationships and love in terms of spiritual connection. And, this is something that when I hear her say this now really just makes my heart light up, because I know how this has been something that she's been searching for. And the fact that she's there in it, and you're able to express it so purely, it's just, I don't know. I just hope that gives people who may be listening and out there doing the same
Yeah.
thing you were doing, searching for
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
some hope that, yes, it's possible. Yes,
Yeah. I hope so too.
yeah. Yeah. So very cool. Okay, so let's get into the fun of tea. So I just want to share with everyone a little story about a workshop that I did not that long ago, and it was called Empowered Love. I will likely be doing an online version too for anyone who is interested in that. I'll share some info. But one of the key elements in this workshop was we opened with a tea ritual. And I reached out to Laura and I was like, girl, I would really love to feature your teas. I want to support you and your magic. Which one would be supportive for the people that are coming to me for this retreat? And without hesitation, she said, Queendom Reign, right out of the gate. And and that was the first time I had tried her tea. So I was so excited about it on so many levels. And I was absolutely blown away by the beauty of the tea. Okay, before I even had a sip of it or did anything with it, it's the beauty of the tea. And I brought the tea with me to the workshop so the ladies could see it and experience it, and I could share more about Modestine teas with them. And what everyone said was, this is not the tea that you get at the grocery store. This is not the tea that you even, in my opinion, you get at a fancy tea shop. It's different. It's different. There were actual whole dried flowers. And I don't mean like gigantic. They were small, beautiful, dainty flowers mixed in with the rest of the richness of this tea. It was bright. It wasn't this sort of like brownish dried color that a lot of teas are. There was so much vibrancy in the tea mixture itself, and I'm probably not using the right verbiage for this, or the words, but it was it was just beautiful. And then when I brewed the tea and I shared it with everyone, I tasted it for the first time with everyone in the space. I really wanted to have the same experience that they were having that day. And what we all noticed was there's a softness in the mouth to the tea. And it felt so feminine. It felt, but yet, not going to say but, yet there was also a power and a complexity to it. And to me, that's the epitome of a woman. We are
Right.
complex and powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a softness and a nurturing quality
Yeah.
to us as well. And so when it comes to tea, I would never have really thought in terms of all of this stuff that I'm telling you. So I don't want anyone out there to think, oh, well, I'm sure Amalia has been like, she's all this, she's into tea, like
Right.
she is wine. No, I'm not. Like this was a completely, I was a bit of a virgin to this sort of opening myself up to this experience. And it was incredible. So that was my first experience with Laura's work. I had plenty of conversations with her and got to know her as a person, but to experience her work on that level was so eye-opening. And that's, I think, the piece of this that I really want everyone to understand as we're opening this dialogue about what you do and the tea, is that it's not like just I mean, yes, it can be something you sit on the couch and you sip while you're watching a movie with your honey or with your girlfriends or whatever, but there's a richness to it. There's so much more beyond that I have yet to experience with any other tea before, and I've like I said, I'm not hugely experienced with it, but I've been to Europe and done, the traditional teas there and tried different teas from around the world in my travels. And this was something completely different. So bravo, Laura, for your magic. So, and to tell us, how did all of this come about? What opened you up to tea, and when did you decide this was something that you had a passion for and wanted to take as a career, or building a business around it?
Yeah, thanks so much for letting me share that. I think, so I was born and raised in the Caribbean in Grenada, and my grandmother was very big on tea. Prior to me being born, her and my grandfather, they had bakeries and different places where they served tea and worked with the community. So I honestly don't know why she thought it was fit for me, of all my cousins, of all her grandchildren, pull me into this herbs and all of that. At 9 years old, I was completely defiant. That's really not something I was interested in, but it piqued my interest 9 years later. So when I was 18, my mom gave me this special gift, and it was my grandmother's recipes, all handwritten. Half of them I couldn't make them out because back then they were not typing things and her handwriting back then. So I literally started, working on herbs and tweaking the recipes that I can pick up, like the different ingredients. So I started doing that at 18, but I didn't know that I was going to make a career out of that. On my paternal side, there's a long line of attorneys, and my dad. So I look at this as me being groomed by both my dad and my grandmother. They, of course, didn't know that they were both grooming me. And I found that out a couple of years ago, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I wonder if they meet up, what would they say to each other? Because in my grandmother's mind, I can see her adamant about me becoming this wellness tea herb person. And my dad's eyes, there's absolutely nothing else. I remember at 10, he said to me, you have 3 professions to choose from: an attorney, a doctor, an engineer. And of course, I chose being an attorney because I'm familiar with all of his family members being attorneys. So I actually went to law school, did the whole bit, and was on my way to like practicing, and at a very pivotal point in my life, I started doing volunteer work with one of the prisons here in New York. And we were working with, I was a volunteer at the female institution, and working with the inmates, female inmates, completely changed my heart. I spent time with them in community talking about self-love and wellness and stuff like that. And it just really changed my heart from being an attorney to being a wellness herbal expert, where I get to help individuals become whole from the inside, rather than being an attorney and helping them win their cases. But in my mind, I felt if you can grab an individual at the point where they're pliable, they're open, and way before they get into issues, right? Having them see who they are, learning their worth, that's a way of preventing them from even getting into that trouble where I, as an attorney, would have to help them out. So I would say around my mid to late 30s, mid 20s to late 30s, I was like, it's the more I lived, the more I worked with herbs, the more I went back into prison and worked with those people. It's just like, it just really grounded me. And I saw that the need for women to be grounded in a certain way, the need for the people who sometimes come from less fortunate backgrounds. One of the things they could be needing is just that attention to soul, to their own worth, that would prevent them from getting into the crimes or the things that, you know, cause them to end up in prison. So that contrast for me was really, really heavy. It was a tough decision because you have family members looking at it like, oh, an attorney versus wellness, like what are we doing here? But I couldn't get away from the aspect of growing up and seeing my grandmother creating communities of wellness, having circles of women that came to her for different types of healing through herbs, or just having community, like women just gathering and sipping a cup of tea and just watching the transition, how another woman comes out of that gathering. That really made a shift in my life, really completely made a shift. And so it's like, how do you deal with moving away from being an attorney and being in this process of wellness? For me, it was really easy because I wanted to see women continue to be nurtured, not just on the outside, but really from the inside. Because I feel like once that nurturing is solidified on the inside, it takes its place on the outside of your life.
100%. I could not agree with you more. I mean, that is so true. And I see that all the time with the work that I do with men and women. It's always an inside job, and tea could be a piece of that healing puzzle, you know, a piece of that for anyone, women or men, either way. What I find really struck me, and I guess I knew about your dad's influence, but I guess it just didn't click in until today, about the, you know, you've got the like the feminine earthy magic and the water part, and then you've got the logic of your dad. So your sun
Right.
and your moon are right
Yeah.
there, right in
Right.
front of you, literally in a
Oof.
masculine and feminine form.
Yeah.
And the impact that both of them have had on you, and you know how likely you took the knowledge that you had from going to law school and being in that sort of environment where you work that part of your brain to marry the two together, likely has created an atmosphere for you where you can be creative, but you're also savvy when it comes to the logical business part of
Yes.
owning your own company, which is something oftentimes we have one or the other is a little stronger, but for you, it seems like you're fairly balanced in that way. You know, I'm sure there are times you lean one way or the other a bit
Yeah.
more,
Yes.
but that's really cool. And I think it's a valuable piece of information for people to look at for themselves, to see how they are elementally created, what they have going on, so they can support themselves a bit more.
Right.
So you mentioned your grandmother and how you kind of took her wisdom and the wisdom that she
Yeah.
imparted on, you know, on you, with you when you were young, and then later taking her recipes and trying to decipher her writing and create for yourself. How do you find that you can have conversations or you know, quote unquote, talk to her now that she's no longer here with us in physical form? How do you bring her magic into your work now?
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? Um, I feel like, so in my ordinary day-to-day life, if I'm not working with herbs, teas, whatever, it's fine. As soon as I get into the magic of these teas, she shows up. Her energy shows up all of the time. If I really, it's the most mind-blowing thing to me that if I want access to her, that's all I got to do. That I just have to get into those herbs. And I didn't realize it until, even with events, any type of event that I do where the tea is involved, she shows up.
Mm.
Anything to do with that. So it's almost like her reminding me of her signature, reminding me of, you know, the roots of all of this and the legacy behind it. So literally tapping into any kind of herbs. I can go for a walk in nature, and literally if I connect with a leaf at any point, she shows up. That magic of her energy with herbs, it's very, very, very astounding to me. I sometimes don't understand it, but yeah, through going into my sacred space and just working on blends, that's my very first my point of contact with her. Whether or not I want her to show, but there are times I just want to mind my own business and do my thing. And she just shows up either with a conversation or just, you can sense that energy there. May not say or direct anything, she's just sitting there.
That is so funny. When, as you were sharing that story, I had this visual of you as a little girl and you and your grandmother being in this space together. And you're just kind of like, I don't really want to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. And your grandmother is like sharing with you, like very, not even necessarily in a fun way, just a very like, you need to know this sort of way. And you're
Right.
kind of like, I'd rather be over there playing and having fun. What am I doing here? And now as an adult, you're now the one that's like, you're playing and having fun in her world, if you
Yeah.
will. And
Yeah.
she's sitting there and she's
Yeah.
like, I'm with you still. You may not
Yeah.
like it, but here I
Yeah.
am. And I don't know, it just struck me as so funny just to have this thought of that it's still at play, that
Yeah.
energy of the two of you.
It needed to be a play. And I really love how you pointed that out, because that's what it feels like. Because I was so defiant back then. Now I'm in that place where I really accept it. I love it. So now
Yeah.
she and I can have the relationship that I think she yearned for
Yeah.
surrounding it, So I think that's what happens there.
That is so cool. So what would you say in from your experience, like, well, not even from your experience, but just from when you're in that state of play when it comes to the herbs and you're creating, what do you tend to gravitate towards or work with first? Like, where's kind of your starting point when you're creating a new blend or you're looking to capture the essence of something?
Calm. I think I look first, I gravitate to herbs that are very grounding and calming.
Okay.
And even when I'm trying to create a blend that gives you energy, I still maintain, because energy wise, when you think of energy, you want an upper, something similar to coffee. But even with that, I think I gravitate to calm because I still do want people to feel that balance. Like, so this is the difference between me creating a tea that gives you energy and would not give you a crazy crash in the end. So I think I always gravitate to calm and grounding.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. And what would you say would be the base, like kind of the basis for that for you when you're making blends? What are the herbs that you go for usually? I know I'm sure it
Yeah.
varies, but
Yeah, it usually varies, but something along the line of flowers. So
okay.
like herbs fall into that category. So I would use, if you notice, Queen Marine has a lot of either chamomile flowers or the roses. And I tend to put roses in a lot of the blends, a good bit of them, because roses, while it doesn't have that very look at me, I can keep you calm, it does have that soothing energy that a lot of people are not familiar with still, because we're not, if you're not into that herbal world, you wouldn't really know what roses do. Like, you wouldn't know the vibration of roses. So I tend to use that a lot because it has that soothing. Even if you put it with something that creates strong energy, it balances the strength of that energy, because I feel we don't need, especially for New York City, I don't feel like we need anything to keep upper. We're always in the upper. So I always try, you know, I always try to stick with something that's soothing. I keep New Yorkers in mind, even though my customers are all over, but I tend to keep us a lot in mind because we're always on high, right? We're always going. Yeah. But overall, roses, because it's soothing, it's soft, it tends to keep you calm and grounded.
Roses too. I've not been a big fan of roses in my life. I feel like they're ubiquitous. There's nothing, in
Yeah.
my opinion, I thought there's nothing super special about them. If somebody buys you a dozen roses, they probably went to the corner market. Like, that's whatever. It's like nice gesture, but I'm not wowed. And until I learned that roses are the highest vibrational flower. When
Yeah.
I learned that, my mind completely changed about roses. I'm a lot more open to
Right.
roses, no matter, I mean, I prefer that they come from a small farm and an ethically sourced,
Right.
but I'm open to roses of any kind now because of the high vibrational quality of the flower, which I never knew. So I love that you incorporate that, in your teas and in your work on a regular basis, because it's up in the vibes, increasing the vibes, bringing that
Right.
to every cup of tea that people enjoy. Speaking of which, talk to us a little bit about ritual when it comes to tea, or maybe share with us a simple ritual or practice that people can begin to utilize in their everyday life. So I know that rituals can get very extensive and all these steps, but for you, if you were going to share a tea ritual with someone that was new to tea, the only thing that
Right.
they know of is like the box that you get at the grocery store, that you peel the thing and you drop it in a cup of water. What would
Right.
you say to them? What would you guide them to do as a very simple starting ritual for tea?
Sure. Because, I feel like the climate of the world right now is so all over the place. The first ritual that comes to mind is self-love.
Mm.
And so I think getting yourself positioned in just a quiet place where you can hear yourself, you can hear your thoughts, you can hear your breath. I think that would be my first approach for a self-love ritual, just sitting quietly in that space. And I love to incorporate hand on the heart because that's connection, and the brand is also about connection. So I feel like once we're consciously placing our hand on a heart, it creates that form of connection. You're connecting back with yourself. Like, we don't always connect with ourselves because we're always going, whether we live wherever in the world. We're always on duty, taking care of whatever we have to take care of. So it's simple, just hand on the heart, connecting back to who you are, into that safe place of who you are, and sipping, conscious sipping, like not just drinking tea because you want to drink tea for the health benefits, but really being aware of what the elements that are in that and what it can help the body with. So it's all about that consciousness again.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point, because like I shared earlier with the story with the tea in the workshop that I held, it was a conscious meditative process that I
Mhm.
guided everyone through. And I even read a poem beforehand about empowered love that was just kind of given to me before the workshop. And I read this
Mm.
poem that really got people that were attending in this state of heart and mind of this openness of empowered love, that place of power within ourselves that comes from the love of ourselves, not the love outside of ourselves. It always starts within. And
Right.
when we did that, and I had them really hold the tea in their mouth, like really feel it and taste it and experience it with their eyes closed. And I think doing that, we were able to feel the softness of the tea. We were able to feel how it changed in time that was in our mouths, that we could taste the flavor so much more
Right.
dramatically. And so I think that's so important. I'm glad that you mentioned that conscious sipping,
Yeah.
really being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Um, you also mentioned health benefits. So share with us health benefits of tea for those who may not have any sense of it.
Yeah. I would love to start with the spiritual benefits. Because
Yes.
again, that's excuse me, tea it has so much wisdom. It has wisdom on its own. It's very rare you're able to tap into a food or beverage or any product that you consume where you can sense its own wisdom, right? The tea leaves definitely, without a doubt, they have their own level of consciousness. um, if you sit with tea for a while and just sit in the idea that I'm sitting here to learn about
Mhm.
myself, to learn about what I'm consuming, tea definitely takes over, and it starts speaking to you, literally starts speaking to you about your inner person. It starts building a relationship with you. I love to tell people, so when I start workshops, I often say that um, the difference between tea and coffee spiritually is that coffee is like, I'm just ready to take you to bed. Let's just go. Tea is like, no, I want to take it slow. I want to pace you. I like want to wine and dine you. I want to show you these things, right? It takes you into this place where it breaks down. It breaks down who you are, how you think, how you position yourself in the world. And that's something that people don't really think that the beverage does, but it really does. Because if you think about the natural way that these leaves are created, they come to us without being touched, unless, of course, they go through processing, oxidization, stuff like that. Beyond that, there is the spiritual aspect that it speaks to your consciousness. It's like CBD. And I think they all related in to a certain degree, because the leaves, again, that naturalness of the leaves, taking that in intentionally, it builds it's a connection, it's a relationship. You think about all of the relationships we have with ourselves and with nature. So nature trying to speak to us through these tea leaves, bringing us into that place of pause, quietness, sacredness. That spiritual aspect of tea is really where I would like to see us as a people get back into, and not just as a lifestyle, drinking tea because, excuse me, because it has benefits. So outside of these spiritual benefits of keeping you grounded and quiet and calm, we have other benefits of, if you have ailments, stomach ailments. One of the teas that are really going well now, it's my turmeric cider, because turmeric is known to help reduce inflammation and stuff like that. So the many physical benefits that tea provides, it's so much to mention, because you have benefits that can help you with headaches. Queendom Rain, it helps you with, it helps women with any kind of female reproductive issues, from PMS, mood swings, pre-menstrual, all that stuff. As well as it's just soothing and calming for nights. It helps you to sleep better. So like I said, the provision that tea has with benefits is just so many.
Wow. So I want to touch back on something you said about coffee is like, let's just go straight to bed, and not necessarily to sleep.
Right.
And tea is more of all of the foreplay
Yes.
beforehand.
Yes.
And thinking about tea as something that's sensual, there's an
Right.
experience to it, and it
Right.
made me chuckle, because sometimes I tell my guy, like, finesse, baby, finesse. It's like, you can't just like come right at me.
Yeah.
Like, let's have, which sometimes that's super fun. I'm not
There are times
dismissing
for that. Yeah.
but there are other times when it's like you want it to be slow, like you said,
Slow.
slow and sensual and
Yeah.
savoring.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that, it just, if anyone has any question mark about tea, draw a parallel between tea and sex, and you're going to get a lot more takers on the tea train. Sign me up. So I think that's a great way to maybe open people up and share it in a new way. And I also thought about it in terms of meditation, for those people who have a really hard time settling their mind and meditating. And I know a number of people who are like that. I have a number of clients who really struggle with that. I wonder if tea as a form of meditation would be a good gateway for them, where their mind has someplace to go. They are using their senses to experience the tea fully. And that in and of itself is a meditation. It's slowing everything down. It's allowing the mind to focus on what is in the present versus the myriad of things they need to do later in the day. And so that may be a really great place for people to start. You also, I believe you have some ritual kits and some wellness based products that are coming up just in time for the holiday season, which is amazing. So can you share with us a little bit about what you have going on for gift giving? And it could be a gift for yourself. I always like to buy little things for myself as well as others in the holidays. So talk to us about that, Laura.
Yeah, that's the thing about tea. You can gift it to yourself or you can gift it to others. So these holiday kits coming up, they would all incorporate stress less products. So just because knowing that the energy behind holidays, it's always like go, 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 stress. You're trying to find the perfect gift. You're trying to create for the perfect holiday setting, stuff like that. Keeping that in mind, the holiday kits would have calming teas, tools that accommodate calm but goes well with tea as well. So everything in those boxes would be geared towards helping you to enjoy Christmas, any whatever holiday you enjoy, but shopping and keep the fun in it, because once stress comes into play, it takes away all the fun. So a lot of the products would be something that you can go with. You can grab and go with you, maybe an affirmation card, a tea to go, or a little tea bottle carrier that you can use to ground yourself while you're in the process of this shopping, or dealing with family members, as to how we settle in and create like a fun environment. So yeah, all products geared towards stress-free wellness rituals. And I do also have a box that's going to have the tea, the infuser, the ritual cups, stuff like that. So it's like a one-stop shop. You don't even have to worry about, where do I find this to go with the tea? The box is going to have everything that you can gift to someone introducing tea rituals, or introducing rituals in itself, the sacredness of spending sacred time itself.
Wow. I love that. I mean, it sounds so perfect for that time of year, for really all of us needing a place to just kind of bring it in a bit, because there's so much energy and attention out, to create a perfect environment for everyone to give to all the people that you care about in your life, which is a beautiful thing. But it is so important to pull it back in and also take care of ourselves. And it's a great gift to remind those who are doing the same thing we are, that we're giving a gift to do the same for themselves as well.
Totally.
It's actually inspiring me to possibly record a meditation that is supportive of that sort of energy, as a gift for people. So maybe we can talk about that later, but it might be something I can just give to those that are in your community as a holiday gift, regardless of holiday, that they could listen to when they sip their tea, and just be in that moment and really reconnect with themselves. So
that sounds amazing.
So we'll chat about that later. Okay, so on the same vein, kind of the same topic of teas that support and teas that bring us back in, would you mind sharing with us your recommendations for maybe the top 3 areas of concern that people have, off the top of my head, and feel free to chime in with those that you feel people talk to you about more. But the top things that I think of are stress and anxiety, detoxification, and immune support. Those seem to be the 3 that I'm kind of feeling are really in the forefront of people's minds. Open to your other suggestions as well. So what are your recommendations, Laura?
All 3 that you mentioned, and I think it just really made sense listening to you say it. It literally made sense why these top 3 teas are my top selling teas. The number 1 is my Don't Stress Me. It's an immune booster, and it's geared towards keeping the immune system healthy, because we know once the immune system remains healthy, the body takes on that healthy form as well. So immune boosting, the calming, soothing, and the detoxification. And my Let Go provides that detox. There's cayenne pepper that helps the body to release, but also ashwagandha that helps the body to adjust to stress. So it goes within that the three top 3 that you just mentioned: stress, detox.
And I'm trying to think if I've tried the Don't Stress Me. I don't know that I have, but I know with the Let Go, it's spicy. That's like there's stuff happening in your mouth, and if you think about that, what it's doing inside of you too, that's such a fantastic inside out support if you are looking to move something through the body. I'm curious about the energetics of Let Go. Can you share a little bit about what energetically, as it's working its way through your system, is happening there?
And so thanks for asking that. I do get questions about why Let Go, why the name Let Go. It's a chi movement, right? This chi, like that, that movement. It's releasing, it's helping the body to let go in every possible way. So spiritually, once you get into like drinking it, it helps the mind release things that you didn't know were there, right? So Let Go falls into mind. then it falls into body, because there are people who have issues moving, bowel movements. It is the perfect tea for bowel movements. It is also the perfect tea for getting the body, things loosen up, not just bowel movement, but then there are heart stuff that's going on that we're sometimes we're not aware of. Let go helps you move that. So it's all chi, that chi energy going on. It's all movement.
Wow. I love that. And I'm just thinking about, there's a full moon coming up. By the time this is aired, it'll be right before, we'll be airing this right before the upcoming Taurus full moon, November 19th. This may be part of the ritual for myself. I'm actually having a full moon gathering with some friends, and we're doing a ritual, and that I may incorporate let go in our ritual. Laura, I'll let you know, because
let me know.
It feels like something that would be so important for, and it's an earth full moon. It's a Taurus moon. So it's bringing in that earth element, and that was a great thing for people to consider doing even on their own, bringing in specific teas if you do follow the moon cycles for any ritual you have. Okay, so when it comes to the holiday kits, can you share with people, just so they have a sense of shipping, what is the timing on shipping, not necessarily just for the holiday kits, but just in general? Can you give them a sense of that?
Sure. I'm for the holidays, I'm shipping 2 days after purchase. So the boxes are ready to go. So I encourage people to like shop as soon as they can, because the closeout, I usually close out shipping on the 19th, just so I can focus for Q1 of the next year and just my own family thing. So shipping would close out between the 19th and the 22nd. But I do ship, once you purchase today, your shipment goes out 2 days from the date of purchase.
Okay. And I love how you're honoring yourself and setting a deadline for your work, for your business, so that you can focus on yourself. I think it's so huge and so important. I wish that sort of mindset would be normalized within society, where we really are able to take the time that we need for ourselves and the things and people that are most important to us, without feeling like, oh, I've got to hold on and clutch for the next sale, or the whatever it might be, depending on your business. I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to. It's the work in itself, because my line of work is very spiritual. It takes a toll sometimes. You know, and what I learned about tea, my grandmother taught me that, but I didn't know until I started experiencing it, that tea is so sensitive that if I'm upset, I need to stay away from those blends completely, because the blends completely pick up my energy, and then I'm selling you that energy, you know. So I literally have to stay away. I'm very conscious of that, and I love putting that out there, because that's something I want people to know about my brand, understanding the dynamic of tea, and knowing when to pull back from being a part of it. Yeah, I want to sell, I want to make money, but also having the mindset that, remember, what you're selling, it's your own energy, right? So you have to be very careful. So I do always need to step back, take time to step back and regroup, because I can be, again, selling you my rage from something from one day.
There's your Aries coming out.
You know,
fire.
The fire. Exactly. So I do need to be always ever conscious of, you know, stepping back and reminding myself of the elements that I'm working with and how sensitive they are. And, you know.
Yeah. I love that you have that awareness, because it is, you know, that's, I think, why this conscious clothing movement and, you know, eco-friendly retailers and that sort of business model has become more and more pronounced and prevalent in the world, is because there is energy in everything, and where it comes from, how it's sourced matters. It makes a difference. And so if you're thinking about it from an energetic level, spiritual level, anything and everything you put in your body carries an energy, and it's affecting you on a cellular level. And I don't want your rage. I got enough of that on my own.
We have so much rage happening in New York. Everything is raging.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm not trying to sell rage. I'm not giving it away. I'm not selling it. It wouldn't be authentic to what my grandmother did, you know. So I
No, I don't. Yes,
can't
exactly. I don't think she would. I don't think she would condone that or be behind that. All right. So
at all.
as we're closing out here, and we've been talking about ritual quite a lot, but could you share with us if you have any rituals that help you tune into your soul, where you're able to just you can bring your soul online for you?
Yeah, yeah. Sacred space. I created this sanctuary, if you will, in my mind and in my home. So
Okay.
there needs to be a little quiet space. I have it on the floor in front of my bed.
Okay.
And that whenever I walk by that area, I can be stressed as all get up. But once I pass that little section of my room, I know I can connect back to self. So it's like having a
Mm,
space where you have tools, any kind of, maybe it's a book, it's a journal, maybe it's a candle, something that reminds you of calm, something that
yeah.
reminds me to walk back into who I am, to step
Right.
back. So yeah, that's my ritual, would be tools that keep me grounded, tools that keep me quiet. I always have a teapot. So I have this little weight tray that I have next to my bed. I don't ever use it as just a setup.
Okay.
Teapot, a tea mug, stuff like that. Because visually, that reminds me of calm. I don't always get into an actual ritual because sometimes it's mental for me
Okay.
as opposed to being physical. So
Okay.
having a visual of what calm looks like, some days that's just a ritual. Because imagine being on the subway and I can't just be there doing the actual ritual, but the visual is there. So
Yeah.
I always encourage people to create in your mind's eye what would be the most grounding. If you can think about something that's going to keep you calm and quiet, what would you do with that? Where would you carry that? And create it in a way that you can carry it with you, because we're not always just at home to be able to practice rituals. We want to have rituals that we can take with us on the plane, you know, wherever we're driving, in traffic, stuff like that. So the daily ritual of sitting with a cup of tea is great, but practicing that in the mind's eye, I like to give that
Mm,
spiritual, that, which is why spiritual means so much to me, that the word itself, because at the end of it, it's ritual.
ritual.
So if you want
Yeah.
to take that practice with you wherever you go.
That answer is so beautiful and magical. No one has shared anything quite that way with with us when it comes to a ritual to really connect in with yourself and to bring your soul online. So thank you for that new gem of wisdom for everyone to take with them no matter where they are. That's so
Yeah,
perfect. That's so perfect.
thank
Well,
you.
Laura, this has been a really fabulous, captivating conversation. I'm so honored and pleased that you were able to join me and the SoulFull Sessions listeners this beautiful day. I look forward to sipping more of your magical teas in the future with you in person. Hopefully,
Yes.
we're Laura and I are working on some things. We're hoping to create some collaborative magic, bringing all sorts of spiritual, and we're gonna really highlight the ritual part of it. We're
Yes.
hoping to do some of that coming up in the next year or so. So we'll keep everyone posted. Again, thank you so much, Laura.
It was my pleasure. Thank you to your listening audience as well. Greatly
Yeah.
appreciate it again.
All right. Well, I am Amalia bidding you all adieu for now. I will catch you on the next episode of SoulFull Sessions. Bye for now, everyone.